Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be creating an exploding box, and we're going to be using both of these sort of stamp sets with the papers and the embossing folder. So this set here, so this is the 13-piece stamp and die set with the embossing folder. This is totally tropical, and this came from the Simply Cards and Papercraft issue 205. And then here we've got the A4 stamp sets with the papers, and this came from the Creative Stamping issue 85. So before we get started, I just want to let you know, I don't know if you can hear that, but my Bruce and Luna, they've decided to wake up from their nap, as they always do when I start filming, and they are currently chewing a box. So if you do hear anything, that is literally just them. So like I said, we're going to create an exploding box today. So I've just drawn out a little diagram, just so I know what I'm measuring and what sort of design and that I'm looking for. So this is going to be quite a big exploding box. So I'm doing an 8x8, so it'll fit in an 8x8 inch envelope. So this is if you were designing it using one sheet of paper. So I have tried to do this using a big A3 sheet, but I couldn't get enough just for the 1/2 inch tab on there. So what I'm going to do is creating it in two sections. So basically I'm just going to create this piece twice, and then each one's going to have a tab so we can assemble it together. So I want to do a really nice big exploding card, because I do want to make sure that I can get sort of all of the stamps on it, or in it should I say, and obviously then we want to use the papers as well. So I'm just going to grab my paper trimmer. So this is the Tonic Studios paper trimmer. So this comes with two different blades. So the blue one, or what was orange, but I bought blue replacements. This is the actual blade itself, and then this grey one is what I'm going to use for scoring. I'm just going to pop that one back in there. So what I've got here is just an A4 sheet of paper. This is 300 GSM. This is the Hunky Dory Ink Me pads. So like I said, this is the A3 size, and it's really good sort of sturdy paper. But don't forget, obviously, because sort of construction a card like this, we're going to be decorating it with the papers, which is going to make that paper a little bit heavier. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this down. So what we're doing is creating two of these. So this is going to be 8 inches here, then with a 1/2 inch tab. So I want to cut my sheet to 8.5 inches. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm doing 8.5 by 8 because I don't need that extra 1/2 inch. So that's that one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in my scoring blade, and then I'm just going to score this at a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to score it on the other one, just so I don't forget to make sure that I get that tab in there. Okay, so the next thing to do is then we want to create our sort of score lines, or our cut lines. So what I'm going to do is actually score at the 4 inch mark, and then I can go ahead and then cut 4 inches down here. So we've got our tab, so all I'm going to do is pop that. So I'm going to pop our score mark for our tab on 4 inch. I'm going to score that and then just check that's perfect, and then I'm going to score it again this way at 4 inch again. So this is what we've ended up with, and then because we've already scored that 1/2 inch tab, that means I can go in and I know exactly where I want to cut it to give myself a 4 inch long tab. So we've got two exactly the same, so now we can go ahead and get rid of our part of the tab. So I'm carefully just going to snip there, and again snip there. Take that score blade back out, and then I'm just going to line up our score mark that we're getting rid of, and I'm just going to cut all the way down. So the really great thing about these blades is you can see here that it's got these sort of notches on the side of it. So, and then you've got the ruler along here, so you can measure down. So that's, I think 4 inches is about 10.2 centimeters. So if I know I only want to score down to that, I can sort of measure that, get to the point with my notch, and know that's exactly where I want to cut. And then all we're going to do is just cut the corners off this. Carefully. Then we can go ahead and just sort of put in our creases. So again, I still need to cut down to create the exploding side, but I just want to sort of make sure that I've got everything sort of nice and folded. So I'm not going to fold this way just yet, because obviously I do still need to cut down that line there. Okay, so like I said, the last thing we want to do is just score down here to create our sort of exploding sides, but one of these I do want to leave sort of all the way up, and that will be the back. So let's say we're going to keep this one. So all I'm going to do, again like we did with the tab, is I'm just going to score carefully down that. So just make sure I get this the right way around. And then, like I said, so we want to keep one for the back, which is going to stay upright. So we'll just fold that one down and keep that one as our back. So I haven't got any red liner tape at the moment, so I'm just using normal double-sided tape, but obviously you can use whatever adhesive you want, but I know the red liner tape does sort of hold up projects like this quite well. So what we're going to do is just line that up there, like that. Take the backing off that side. And then what should happen is that should line up perfectly there. And then we have a really big exploding box. Like I said, we've kept that top bit as our backing, so we want that to be nice and sturdy, and then we've got our sides. So then that will then fold up and then fit into an 8x8 inch envelope, and then it will be really nice to put all of our images in. So I'm going to just put that to one side for the moment, because we want to create some sort of bridges to go across the middle to be able to pop our acetate onto, and then obviously have our images. So we know that this is going to be 4 inch, so we want 4 inch with a little extra tab either side to be able to put these in. So this is just a scrap piece that I've cut off previously. So if we do 5 inch, that gives us 1/2 inch either side. And what we want to do now with our tabs, because these are going to then also, so you can see here it's sort of twisting to the side, by putting these structures in, it's going to keep it nice and straight. But what you do want to do is fold one tab to the back and then one tab forward. So just like that. So let's just get those creases in there. So we've got our 3 structures. So what we're going to do is it's going to sit in really nicely like so. So if we put a little bit of tape on that side, and then so what we're going to do is pop this first one right in the middle. I'm just going to pop it down slightly into the card. So let's go, let's say there. And then rather than trying to stick the other one down, what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to fold it closed. I'm just going to lay that down, and hopefully So there are our sort of inner structures that will keep our acetate and our stamps sort of let it explode from the card. So now, before we do anything else, we look at decorating it. So let's just bring back the papers. As beautiful as they are, they're so thin that I can't get them through my paper trimmer because the blade just cuts it. I think you really need to have a guillotine, but unfortunately the only guillotine I have is this tiny little 4-inch guillotine. But I'm hoping, because we're actually only doing 4 by 4 inch, I'm hoping that I'll be able to cut it on that small guillotine. So what I'm thinking about doing is I'm going to use the green for these bottom panels, just to sort of back it onto it, and then I might use either the yellow or the pink to sort of back these. So I'm just going to do the mattes first of all, and then obviously we can go into doing using some of the actual patterned paper. And let's get these stuck down. These are just gonna, I know what I've done, I've cut it the exact size, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to be 3. What a silly goose. Let's get that one down, and then this one. Oh. So I recently bought these tape pens from Create and Craft, and they're good, but they don't have to get stuck. So I really love these stamps that are on the back of this paper. I think that would be so perfect for if you could actually cut them out and use them as a sort of pretend postage. I think that would look really cool. Like, as really nice sort of vintage stamps. Ugh. So let's line this up with the top. So there is the beginnings of our exploding box. Bring our box back in. Okay, so these ones are going to go on the bottom, like so. Oh, I've cut my finger on something. Okay, so let's go this way. See, putting these papers together, they coordinate so well together. I mean, I love that. That's amazing. And then I love that every square of these is different as well. Oh, let's do that one there. Okay, so I'm going to put this one in the middle, so it's kind of like a birthday square. Ooh. So this one's going to go, because we've got that cute little parrot. That one's going to go there. And then we'll use these two. These are going to go here, like the perfect tropical. So let's just show you what we've got so far. So that is our bottom, and then we open it up, and I think that looks amazing already. So what we're going to do for this back panel is I'm actually going to use the embossing folder. There we've got our embossed image, and then that is going to go down the back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just bring in my glass mat. Let me just move my scissors. And I'm going to take, okay, we've got rainforest green and canary yellow. So I have got another video which I'll link to, showing you what different techniques you can do with your embossing folders. So this one was one that I done in that previous video. So what I'm going to do is just run my pad across. So I'm going to start off with that yellow just to give it some sort of nice tones. Then I'm going to come in with this really strong green, and that yellow is just really going to highlight it really nicely. And by doing it nice and lightly, it's being picked up by the raised sections and not really on the sort of lower sections. So just really lightly, and then all I'm going to do is just go around the edges just to darken those edges up just a little. That is our really easy tropical background that you can do with an embossing folder. Easy as that. Let's just move the glass mat. Let's bring this back in, and then that is gonna sit nicely there. So I'm just gonna use some tape for this, because obviously it's embossed. Some sections didn't tape that very well. Higher, some are lower. So we've now got our papers, and we've got the embossing folder use. So I really want to try and use everything that comes within these two sets. So that is our exploding box so far. So now let's talk about what we're going to be putting in it. So what I've actually done already is stamped one of every single, almost, image that's come out of both of these sets. I've just done some really basic colouring, just with some Distress Oxide ink pads, a little bit of sort of watercolouring, so I don't really want to do sort of too much. I know the papers are going to kind of boost the colours in that a little bit. So this is pretty much every, like I said, every stamp that's come in both of these sets, and we're going to have them all exploding out of our box. And then if we need any more, then obviously I can cut them and sort of do that. So what we need to do first, so you can see, so I've already prepped all of that. So we need to create now the little pieces of acetate and that we are going to adhere those to. So I'm just going to pop those in a pile. Move my box. So I've got some quite strong acetate here. I'm not sure where I've had this from. It's just something that I've had sort of lying around. Let's do 1.5 centimetres. So we've got some quite big images in here. So certainly the sloth and so these three really. So you've got the leopard, the parrot and the sloth. So I'm thinking really we could do with having those probably nearer the back. So let's start with our dear old sloth here. So let's just cut the end of that straight. And we'll have that quite high. So we want to sort of high in the back and then sort of coming down. And let's try using that tape pen. I don't know if it's going to be strong enough, so we shall see. So we've got him there, but what I'm going to do is just use some tape just on the bottom. though that seems heavily time consuming. Okay, so so next let's do, so really we're just going to put the big stuff down first, that way then start with the big things, then we can kind of just fill it in. Okay, so we're going to have him on the second row. Okay, so that's all of our stamps used, so let's just show you obviously the idea. So your recipient takes it out of the envelope and then bam, all of them. So again, let's just sort of push it back just a tiny bit. Okay, so a couple of things that I've done. Just in addition, so that's pretty much obviously everything used from the stamp set, but what I have done is just taken a die that I've had, which is sort of just some like grass. So instead of just having these sort of white bits showing here, I thought that if we just put that in front, it would kind of hide those sort of white bits really nicely, and sort of as you're looking down on it, just sort of give it a little bit more interest. It's not something that I want to sort of be able to see too much. I'm not sort of putting it in for that purpose. It's just kind of to make it sort of a little bit more neater. Oops, just to sort of neaten it up a little bit. So again, you can't necessarily see it. You can see it when you look down, and it just looks nicer than sort of seeing the white and you know, sort of those pieces of acetate. So that's that. So the last thing I'm going to do is just sort of decorate the flaps a little bit and pop a sentiment on this front card. Now I want to show you one other thing that you can do using this Totally Tropical. So this has got two dies, so the hibiscus and the small leaf. If you don't feel like cutting, if you don't feel like colouring in your images, all I've done here is stamped it onto coloured paper, and then just used the die to cut it out. And so it was a little bit of a process, sort of cutting it out, but it saves me a whole bunch of time having to colour all of these individually. So all I'm going to do is just pop a few bunches just on the sides here, just to sort of give that a little bit of interest. So let's stick that one down. Let's do just a couple on this side. Let's do this blue one. So what I've done here is just use scrap paper that I had lying around. Just like that. So we've got our sides decorated. So now we're just going to go with a sentiment on the front. Let's go with love on your birthday. So that's going to go. I really want to still see this, so I'm thinking of it going there. And I'm actually going to pop it on onto some foam. So let's pop that just there. So don't forget, you don't want anything to come out of your envelope width. Okay, so we've got our really nice panels there. So you could then write your message on the back here if you wanted to. You could also put some paper on the back of that as well, just to decorate that side of it. So the idea is then that they open it and it absolutely explodes. So we really have sort of used everything from both magazines. So that is Totally Tropical and Tropical Treetops. So you've got most of the stamps in there. We've used the dies, we've used the sentiments, the embossing folder, and then of course the papers. So I think those two packs work so well together. So here is a picture of our finished exploding box, and I absolutely love it. I hope I've given you a little bit of inspiration on what you can do with both of these sets and the papers and everything that goes with it. So if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. If you haven't done so already, then please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thanks very much for watching, and happy crafting!